Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Arx Fatalis. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you're chose to join me today here in the shops district as we sold some things, and we're going to sell still more things, and then we're going to buy some stonks, because, you know, that's how you make the money, and basically be able to not have to worry about it. You get stonks. So, where can I buy this or sell this? Right, the smithy. We haven't gone to the smithy. I was like, we have been to the shops, but I didn't sell everything. It's over here. No, wait, we can't. Locked. It's not locked. I mean, it is, but the point is, it's not working hours now. The game world is in a different state because of the fact that this is the first time we arrived. The game actually does a fairly good job at making sure you don't get overwhelmed, because this city is big, and I think we spent most of the last episode just going around and faffing about. But now we're going to the castle that has these things that make noise. Don't worry about it, it's fine. And we're gonna, well, deliver the bad news about the outpost, really, because that is a pretty important thing. Now, I'm coming here before that because I'm looking at the minimap and I'm seeing that we haven't visited this. Which means, of course, that we must visit it to be good role-playing game players. Because that's how you do. You never go to where you want to go. Never. That's locked. I believe I have been here. You see all these little things that connect? It's so cool. It's so cool. It's really hard to navigate the area and explore it the first time around. It's definitely a level made for you to explore it once and think you've got everything done, and then, you know, you find, you know, in your next playthrough you find, oh, I never saw this, or something like that. You know what I mean? But look at this. These things are suspicious looking. What do we have up here in this remote area? I don't know what we have over here. It's just a house. What a curious place. It's important to check everything out because they hide things. The game developers definitely hide things. And we've seen a couple already. We have on the lower left corner of the screen a little mustache shield thingy on the right side. That is an invisibility spell that I got from on top of it was the rafters or something of a room. Okay, here we go. Nobody's here to say hi to me. You realize what that means, right? I'll not go to where I should go.
I'm sick of eating cruel food.
Cruel food?
Hello. Beware. We're watching you.
Beware, we're watching you. That's not something for me to be aware of. Be wary of. Beware means be wary, rather than be aware. Locked. I know what that is. I also know where I'm going, by the way. That is the kitchen.
Beware. We're watching you.
Yes, you are. Hi.
Always the same.
She says that every time. Fortunately, we have this. And that means we're going to be able to make potions. Because we also have that. Okay, so let's see. Bone powder. No? The other way around? Can we not make that? Look at that. No? A bottle full of blue powder. It is full of it. Antidote powder. This is why I quick saved. I don't remember how alchemy is done. I think we might need like an alembic or something, or alembic, or whatever, however you say it. I spent many hours cooking things, in specific cooking everything in here, because there's a lot of things in here. There's really no reason to do it, though. The cooking, I mean. But it's good. It's fun. So I did it. Cooking for Goblins by Dure Palua. Recipe for chambles. Mix the sugar and flour. Add the required amount of water and knead the dough until it is of an even consistency. When this has been done, put it in the oven, taking care not to burn it. Once it is cooked, take a chicken's egg and mix the white and the yolk. Spread this mixture on your cake and put it back in the oven for a minute or so.
Was it 2?
That's pretty cool. Also, I can make some money with the wine. Probably can make some money with the bread as well. So you can see there's a lot of things in here. Yeah, I'll take the bread. I'll take the apples as well, but not all of them. So we have sugar. No, we have only the flour. We don't have sugar in here? How do you make... we don't have eggs either, so it's not like... That should come as a surprise. Yeah. So I'll sell that. And I'll see you later, I suppose. Don't do that. That's super gross. What the heck? My god.
Keep your hands clean.
Yes. And you wear a mask when in public. That joke is gonna hopefully get very, very old in the future. And when you're watching this, you're gonna be like, "What do you mean?" And I'm just gonna say, look at the publishing date of this video. If you hopefully don't remember what happened over here. Over here, I say over here at the time of recording. I mean. Where? Oh, it's a prison. Nice. Oh, trapdoor. Why is the trapdoor in the prison actually usable? I wonder. I know why, but, you know, trying to say things that a person who hasn't finished this game would have said, because I'm not trying to fool you that I haven't finished this game. I'm just, you know, it's just saying that, pointing it out because it's a funny thing. It's kind of funny. This is a lovely place. I really, I remember this castle well enough. Spent so many hours playing this game. It's unbelievable coming back to it. I'm chuffed. I'm chuffed to bits. And of course, we're not going that way. I remember that as well. Sort of forgot that it was that. I don't think I can take that. I mean, I suppose I can take it later. Let's see. I can. A plated helmet. Requires 14 strength. I can't take it right now. The wooden shield sucks. He didn't see it. You playing cards over here?
Look, I have no money for you. Just leave me alone, will you?
Look, I'm a bit too busy to talk right now.
I bet you are. I bet you are. On account of the playing. That's my life as well, by the way. People asking me things and I'm like, I'm too busy because I'm playing all day for YouTube. And oh, it's the thing that we saw outside. Also, I see you. Heal. I don't know if that's heal self, by the way. Let's keep it over there. And a trapdoor that doesn't seem to work. I'm not sure if it does or not. I don't believe it does. There's many story beats. I was gonna say library and laboratory. Who's...
Well, a new face. No doubt the king sent you to me for advice. As you can see, I look after the kingdom's library. What can
says that a lot. Sister Shinkash.
Let yourself be infused with the wisdom in these tomes.
I am gonna do that. Also, cool sign made with blood, potentially, or red paint. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna lower the volume so that she doesn't drive me up the wall. Can't go back there. We're gonna read the books. A book. Nothing of interest. Well, that very good way to parse through a library. It actually says nothing interesting. This one is different. In the beginning, the gods were omnipotent. They reigned over Arx for eons before humans made their first appearance. We know very little about the gods, apart from the fact that it seems they were full of wrath at the proliferation of humans and disappeared from the surface of the earth. Some very ancient writings suggest that this disappearance was caused by the lack of faith the first mortals showed in them. Two gods stayed longer than all the others before disappearing. Their names were Zohark and Krahos. Zohark was the most powerful of all the gods. He was thunder, lightning, and earthquakes. He was storms, hurricanes, and everything that represented the brutal force of nature. But his power was only liberated by Krahos. Krahos was the goddess of equity, guardian of equilibrium and equality. They both needed. It's important to note that equality and equity equity are two different things, but still they are related. They both needed each other, which could be why they stayed longer than the other gods, but finally they disappeared like the rest. I think maybe Krahos didn't, because we heard whatever that thing was when we got into this area, and they sent the Guardian, or are sending the Guardian. Modern times saw ancient beliefs abandoned, and humans who could create magic themselves had their turn at controlling the earth and the lightning. Humans entered into a new conceptual era where they had more belief in their own capabilities and only turned to the gods for marginal things such as fertility or hedonism. Hedonism for the gods, interesting, because that you'd think the opposite. But anyway, they revered the gods of negotiation, gold and luck, and even the gods of the poor. But these first gods, the gods of the brutal forces of creation, had no place in the pantheon. Since the start of this new era and this shift of faith, the most powerful gods have retreated to their own dimension called Noden, where they await new worshippers to enable them to return. What a curious thing. That's pretty important, actually, lore-wise and all that. The Guild of Travelers was the first institution created after the death of Arx's son. Its origins stem from a handful of die-hard survivors who did not want to join the rest of the population underground. These rare survivors developed techniques for resisting the cold by ingesting alchemists' drugs. They built their own shelters from ice and their shelters, and bred dogs which were also able to resist the cold. They were joined by other men and women who were not afraid of the cold and who also wanted to venture out to other cities. Out of these journeys was born the Guild of Travelers, which is now the only remaining means of communication between the underground cities. They're always well respected and eagerly welcomed, for they are the only people able to bring news from the outside. That is just badass. That Guild of Travelers is just amazing. It's just like, that concept is great. You should just, making a game as a member of the Guild of Travelers, I don't think they ever planned to do that. And I'm not sure if the Guild of Travelers is a holdout from the Ultima Underworld series, which it might be, but making a game, you know, where you actually travel above world, and that's where you get combat, that's where you get survival and all that sort of stuff, and then you go into different cities and different places with all their different remote cultures and all this sort of stuff. That'd be fantastic. Alador, of course, with an A. Zarm, with an A. Oh, Tirkio doesn't have a name. Akaba does. Ooh, Akaba, the god of bad things. Alador, created on Omni's benevolent god, seems to have retired after having given humans free reign over his dimension, and in particular the capacity to control their own destiny. He is assumed to have been very powerful, but he never put his full powers on display before leaving the dimension of Omnis. It's such a funny thing to give the humans control over their own destiny. Our pets have control over their own destiny. Our cats and dogs have control over their own destiny. I mean, because, you know, that they have control. They do their thing. We might pick them up and do things, but, you know, they have control over their own destiny is what I'm saying. So it's kind of funny to think that people didn't at some point in this setting, and then they did. So they were worse off than cats. Anyway, Zarm created on Omni's evil god, the exact opposite of the previous god. Zarm was very angry with Alador for the independence he gave to the humans. Seeing that he could not take this away from them, he undertook to try and get them under his control by reducing them to slavery. Akba, this is unrelated now, Akba created on Koltk, evil god, named the god of destruction because he destroyed Koltk completely. He was initially adored by his followers because of the help he gave them during their wars and conflicts. Sounds to me like he's not necessarily an evil god. It doesn't really say why he's an evil god, but anyway. Tirkio, created in Arx, benevolent god, despises the futility of the rich. It is advisable to get rid of all your gold pieces before doing any kind of business with him. Interesting. So I think he just has he just doesn't like gold, because that's not actually what being rich is. It is in this setting, obviously, and it is in real life, but in a fantasy setting, you can have a fantasy setting where gold is not valuable, because gold isn't valuable. It's not like food. Food is valuable. It has a utility, and, you know, durable materials are valuable. Gold is bad for everything, except for it's pretty good at heat transmission, but we don't really have, you know, like engines and computers and things like that. And even for computers, gold isn't a very good conductor for a very good thermal conductor. That'd be carbon is better for that, I'm pretty sure. Oh, look at that. This book has it just ends over there. I think I know why. I think it's because this Arx Liberatis thing has the books with the same number of pages in from the original game, but because the text is re-rendered, it just stops a little bit. Anyway, relations between the different races in Arx have always been difficult. The goblins were the most populous of all the races, due in part to their high fertility rates. However, as they were never able to organize themselves into a united kingdom, they gradually lost their predominant position. Fundamentally, goblins are not very intelligent. They have their own language and mostly speak a kind of pidgin version of human language. With humans, I'm sure, but they do that for with themselves, which is weird. They are always looking for something to find fault with, says whoever wrote this, which obviously wasn't a goblin, constantly annoying the person they're talking to. They're liars. This is just slender. Actually, libel would be. They're just going in. Liars, arrogant, cowardly, and are extremely lazy. The only time the goblins were the allies of humans was during the time of the Great Treaty. During this time, they helped build the underground kingdom, putting their natural aggression and bad manners aside for a while. Bad manners tells you about the priorities of the writer. However, after the work was complete, and they had settled in, they slipped back into their old ways. It seems that trading gemstones is the only peaceful activity even the most tolerant of each race can bear. How is that peaceful? I'm pretty sure they're basically enslaving the trolls. But then again, they are striking, so it's not really slavery. And then, well, I guess the slaves can strike. It's just the dynamics and the logistics are a little bit different from just normal paid workers. But either way, you know, we'll find out about that if it's peaceful or not. And even then, like, they don't mind the gemstones, but still get rich off of the selling. So there's something going on there. We'll find out. Trolls are a different kettle of fish. Even if it seems that their origins are similar to those of the goblins, they're completely different. They are very weak-willed and are creatures that seem to live in slow motion. They're not aggressive and are much more often benevolent, but their monstrous strength and legendary stamina make them both weighty allies and lethal adversaries. Their existence is made up of the simple things in life, such as finding something to eat or somewhere to sleep. Because they are mentally weak, they are quite easy to fool, but woe become anyone who does so if they find out, as their anger is legendary. The Ratmen, so we just skip right past that, so that's that. The Ratmen have always preferred to have very little contact with other races. They communicate in signs rather than in words. We saw a ratman, by the way, in the beginning of the game. That's what they were. And that's what they killed whoever the human was. Sometimes adding in cooing sounds, or adding in cooing sounds, which is probably just their language. Ratmen are extremely agile and thus are formidable adversaries in combat. Some of them are the biggest killers in Arx. They're very subtle and extremely swift. They often use poisoned weapons. They live underground and in the city's sewers when humans still lived above ground. Feeding off waste products and excrement seems to suit them very well. Until now, the few run-ins we have had with the Ratmen have been brief but bloody. They made occasional forays into human cities to rifle through garbage bins looking for food and rudimentary tools. Since they have been hidden underground in the fortress of Arx, they have slowly lost all contact with all the other races and move around with exemplary discretion. Dwarves have a passion for anything mechanical, the craftsmanship and for anything to do with engineering. They are also the best blacksmiths in the world. They have lived in the underground fortress well before all the other races took residence there. Also, they are the only ones who know how to build mines and exploit them properly. The definition of properly is left for the reader to decide. And they often sell the products they mine to humans. They have always had an appalling relationship with goblins and waged numerous wars upon them, trying to eliminate them completely. One of their largest mines was chosen as a refuge and site of the new city of Arx. They also helped to build the basic infrastructures on site and undertook many jobs there, apart from those on the goblin level. As they were already used to living in the depths, they moved further underground and continued to exploit their mines. The origin of the Sisters of Edumium is a mystery, and it's the serpent over here. They look like a hybrid between women and snakes. Their skin is covered in scales. It's interesting that it's not a hybrid between human and snakes. It's specifically women and snakes. Their skin is covered in scales. There seems to be no males in their race, and we know nothing about how they reproduce. They are very gifted in the use of magic, making them the best magicians in Arx. According to certain legend, they were involved in the very origins of magic. They have always been very close to the human race, helping them at every difficult stage of their development. During the migration, the sisters promised to help the king of the humans and created underground plants to feed the inhabitants and their livestock, which is a pretty important aspect of the world building here. Otherwise, you'd ask questions about how people eat in the underground. Very little is known about dragons. However, scholars have noticed that there are 4,815 scales on every specimen studied. That's an interesting thing. Dragons? Please don't. Human imagination is always given our society fantastic inventions. Everyone can remember the gigantic balloons kept aloft by hot hair, which gave us such great capacity for exploration in the past. They also provided an excellent surveillance system against invasions, allowing us to keep watch over great distances. Another of the most fabulous inventions ever conceived was the submarine. This marvelous construction brought us a new means for fighting off pirates and goblin fleets. This gave us naval supremacy during the dark years of chaos and despair. Lord Marco, the creator of this priceless invention, is one of the most celebrated heroes in the whole of Arx. But the greatest human invention is undoubtedly the underground kingdom of Arx. Perhaps it is not so much an invention as the conversion of an existing structure. Its origins are that of an old dwarf mine with a particularly effective ventilation system. We can hear it right now, by the way. The ventilation system, we can. Already a splendid structure, it has became, oh look at that, even more impressive thanks to the way humans have organized it. Ellipses. The old mine became a truly autonomous world using all available space. Each known race was granted a level in accordance with the treaty signed in the year 2017. I had a hiccup. This kingdom is a living demonstration of what human determination can achieve. Yeah, take credit for what basically was done by all the races. Why don't ya? So we got a couple more books. We have a few more books over here. I don't think you ever talk to me. Glossy lipstick. How is she completely covered in scales, by the way? I don't see a single scale anywhere. Those could be scales, though, in her torso, I suppose. Anyway, Fatalis was our first king. He was the first to bring together the 5 human tribes living on our continent in the year 170. Or 170. These tribes had been constantly in conflict with each other since the beginning, but not one of them was powerful enough to establish supremacy over the others. Fatalis was good and courageous, and he challenged and defeated the leader of each of the tribes in what came to be known as the Battle of the Shattered Shields. For before challenging the tribal leaders, Fatalis had ventured into an abandoned temple in the Wailing Mine Mountains. From this temple, he brought back an enchanted shield which allowed him to defeat all the leaders. As soon as he became leader of all 5 tribes, Fatalis declared himself king of Arx. After this, he reigned over the new kingdom of Arx with wisdom, fairness, and generosity. He had a long and prosperous reign despite skirmishes with goblins and ratmen, which, thanks to his military genius, he always managed to curb. He was less fortunate with his descendants. His first 2 sons, Eloise and Nikas, didn't have A's in their names, so they were lame. Both fine warriors died during Fatalis' lifetime. Luckily, at the time of his death in 212, his youngest son, Lunshire, was left to succeed him. He must be like 60 now, but he was still too young. Lord Ponset acted as regent until the boy's coming of age, but he plotted to stop Lunshire from taking the throne. He was never very popular, and his little scheme failed. The bias of the writer is very obvious, as Lunshire took the throne in 215, at the age of 16. So we're at 2077, or 277, so he's 63. 62. No, 63. No? 69. Nice. It's not, it's 68. King Lunshire faced a difficult task from the start, as the sun began its decline over our world. He was the instigator of the migration of the population underground. He did everything within his power to save as many people as the dwarf mines could take. He had the diplomatic intelligence to sign a treaty with all the other races in Arx, without which the move would have taken much longer, and may even have been halted by the Ice Age, which was fast approaching. King Lunshire honored the memory of his father by transporting his coffin to a new crypt, built on the foundation of the miner's tomb, so that people would never lose respect or forget this great king. Cool. Really cool. But we're out of time for the day, so we're going to continue reading the books in the next episode. For right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Arx Fatalis. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment, like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later, but above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.